Well, good morning. It's always great to be here in Renton, but if it's October and we're in Renton, that almost certainly means it's election season. And I am excited to be here at King County Elections with our elections director, Julie Wise, and her talented staff of democracy defenders, who are today mailing nearly 1.4 million ballots to the voters of King County. That's 1.4 million voices ready to be heard, 1.4 million points of view, 1.4 million perspectives. It's 1.4 million chances to make a difference. Voters in King County have the opportunity to weigh in on their representatives in Congress, their leadership in Olympia, and ballot measures in communities across the county. King County Elections is one of the best in the business in ensuring the security of every vote, from the moment you deposit your ballot in the mail or in an official drop box to when it's received here, processed, and then tallied on Election Day. You can count on this team to deliver an accurate and secure count, to be transparent, and to help make sure your voice is heard. Just this year, in partnership with our Jobs and Housing program, the elections team was able to bring on extra staff to get people connected to employment and housing. And that team they hired, a team of 9, was able to update more than 35,000 signatures in the voter registration system in some of the communities with the highest rate of challenges, helping to ensure tens of thousands of voters will be able to have their ballots counted without delay. That's what's possible when you have leadership like this at our elections department. We're making it easier for people to vote with confidence in the integrity of our local elections. On a cold day in Washington, D.C. last year, we saw what's at stake when false information is cynically circulated and seeds of doubt are made to grow out of control. And we've seen attempts around the state and in our own community to subvert the integrity of elections. In a democracy, we should be doing everything we can to make it easier to vote, not harder. Same-day registration, online registration, and helping young people become active citizens and participate in their democracy. I want everyone in King County to know that because of Director Wise and her team, your vote is secure. Our elections are secure. And our democracy will continue to thrive. So before I hand it over to Julie, I want to leave you with one simple message. Vote. Do it early. Get registered right now if you need to. Call King County Elections at 206-296-VOTE if you have any questions, if you have any trouble, if you need any help in making sure that your vote can be cast and counted. Our democracy is only as strong as our voices in it. So let's make sure every voice in King County is heard in November. And now it's my pleasure to turn over the microphone to our King County Elections Director, Julie Wise.
Thank you, Executive Constantine, for your kind words and your ongoing support of King County Elections. I'm Julie Wise, the Director of King County Elections, and it is wonderful to have you all today at our headquarters. We are projecting a 72% turnout for this election. That's 1 million ballots projected to be voted and returned by folks across King County. It's right here on our secure ballot processing floor that every ballot will be verified and counted. And it's right here in King County that we continue to show the rest of the country that vote-by-mail elections are both secure and accessible. I've been with King County Elections for 22 years. I've held nearly every single job possible within the department over that time. And I continue to have the pleasure of working with the most incredible team of state and nationally certified election administrators. This team at Elections is made up of dedicated professionals who go above and beyond to not only meet the letter of the law, but to go the extra mile for our voters, because we are your neighbors. your friends, your relatives. We are extensively trained, deeply experienced in running vote-by-mail elections and setting the standard for transparency in elections. In fact, earlier this year, King County was recognized by our election administration colleagues from across the country for our work to expand our already robust bipartisan observer program. In this coming election, we'll be joined for the first time by nonpartisan or unaffiliated observers through a partnership with the Seattle King County League of Women Voters. We have found that inviting folks in, answering the hard questions, and showing how the process works, we're able to turn at least some of those election skeptics into our greatest advocates. For those who want to observe elections in other ways, you can watch us hard at work on the web cameras we have placed in every area where ballots are processed or stored during an election. Over the past few years, we have continued to upgrade and add to our webcams, and we are now up to 11 locations that are streamed 24/7 on our website throughout the entire processing period. While it so often feels like the conversation around elections continues to look back at 2020, an election that has been heavily scrutinized, recounted, and audited, and found to be overwhelmingly accurate over and over again, our team at King County Elections is looking forward. Today, we are launching ballot alerts. Voters can now, right now, go onto our website, to our ballot tracker, and sign up to get texts and emails when their ballot hits another milestone in the process. They'll get a message when their ballot is mailed, when we receive it back here at King County Elections headquarters, when their ballot is verified and ready to be counted. And they'll get an alert if there is any issue with their signature, so they can get it fixed and make sure that their ballot counts. You can go online to kingcounty.gov/elections to sign up. You'll get alerts for this election, and you will be good to go for future elections. You can also always give us a call at 206-296-VOTE, and we'll help you get signed up. These alerts, like ballots and voting materials, are available in English, Chinese, Korean, Spanish, and Vietnamese. Voters can sign up in whichever language they prefer. And thanks to the support of Executive Constantine and the King County Council, in their supplemental budget passed earlier this year, we'll be adding Russian and Somali as fully supported languages here at King County Elections. That means in the 2023 special elections, ballots will be prepared in those two languages and available for our voters. And we are excited to build on our language work so that every voter can make their voice heard. As Executive Constantine mentioned, we've also been working to help voters get their signatures updated to reduce their chances of having a mismatching signature when they go to vote. To open and count a ballot, state law requires a signature that matches what is on the voter's registration record. And we all know that signatures can change over time. By reaching out through web and mail, we've been able to help tens of thousands of voters get a new signature on file and be less likely to have any challenge when it comes to having their ballot counted in future elections. We are also looking forward to our voters getting their ballots in hand in the coming days. You should already have your state voters pamphlet. Your local King County voters pamphlet will arrive this week, and your ballot should not be far behind. Give us a call if you don't have it by Monday, October 24th. I really encourage you to sit down, read that voters pamphlet, see what those candidates and ballot measures have to say, and make your selections. Sign that ballot and get it back to us by November 8th. And no, there's no need to wait. You can return your ballot anytime, and we encourage you to do so as early as possible. If you vote early and sign up for ballot alerts, you'll know on election day that your ballot was counted and you're good to go. To me, that sounds much better than rushing to a drop box at 7:45 p.m. on election day, which you can still do, we just don't recommend it. But drop boxes close sharply at 8 p.m. on election night. And if you're using the mail, it has to have a postmark of November 8th or before. But really, we recommend that you mail it by the Friday before Election Day. If you are going to be a last-minute voter, head to a drop box. There are 76 ballot drop-off locations across King County, our newest being on First and Mercer in Seattle's Uptown, as well as Woodinville City Hall. Voters who need any assistance for voting or getting registered should give us a call at 206-296-VOTE. We are here to help. Thank you so much for being here this morning, and I'm going to hand it back over to the team to facilitate any questions. So our ballot drop boxes, for lack of a better word, are steel tanks. They weigh in at over 1,000 pounds. They are half-inch thick steel. They are specifically designed for receiving ballots. They're created by a company called Vote Armor, and they are cemented with 4-inch bolts into the ground. And these locations don't, even these drop boxes do not have any pry points on the exterior, right? You're not going to find screws or anything like that in which you could tamper with the drop box themselves. If you look at every piece of the design of that ballot drop box, you'll see that even the water slopes off the top of it. There's fire retardation inside the actual unit in case someone tried to put in anything into the drop box. You can't leave the door unlocked without it being completely swinging open because of its design. It's only a 1/4 inch to actually put in your ballots. I could go on and on. These drop boxes are incredibly secure, and we are so pleased to have 76 of them across King County. We're going to have driver teams. Those are teams of 2 that go out and they empty the ballot drop boxes every single day. They have a robust set of procedures and checklists that they have to follow to remove the ballots from each of those drop boxes and then put those into sealed containers to bring them back here to our elections headquarters. And we've got GPS trackers on the vans that are going out to get them. We have a whole host of measures to make sure that our drop boxes are safe and secure. You know, in 22 years of working in elections, I've never seen a landscape we're in right now, right? The mis, dis, malinformation that you see circulating about elections is unlike any territory that we've seen, but it's been there pretty consistently since 2020. So I think what you're seeing is election administrators across the country getting savvier about how to make sure to message out about the truths of elections. And what we're really doing in the press conference with Secretary Hobbs is to encourage folks to go to trusted, reliable sources for their election information. Those are going to be the Secretary of State's office. Those are going to be your county election offices. And that's where you should go to make sure to get accurate information about the truth behind elections. I would encourage voters, again, to open up that voter's pamphlet. I wrote you a letter. It's on the first page, and I think it encompasses a little bit about what you're talking about. I mean, there's a person element of it, right? To me, as an individual that's dedicated more than half of my life to running nonpartisan, accurate, secure, accessible elections, it's disheartening. It's devastating to myself and to my team to be accused of felonies, because that's what it is. Changing people's votes, throwing ballots away, those are felonies that are being accused of us every single day. And that is, as a human being, that's hard to digest. It is disheartening and it's hurtful. But I think what this team has shown is that we put our heads down and we keep conducting accurate, innovative, professional elections and let that work speak for itself. And that's what we're going to continue to do. We see some of the highest voter turnout in the entire country here in King County. And that's because we fundamentally believe that democracy is at its finest when all voices are heard, and we're not going to be ashamed about that approach. So we're going to remove barriers, keep our elections secure. We've shown that we can do both, and we'll let our good work speak to the skeptics there. But I also think that we want to bring in observers, like I spoke to earlier. We think that's critically important as well. So I hope that kind of answers your question. Okay, thanks.
Well, our elections folks and law enforcement, of course, would want to be alert to any credible threats of violence. We certainly have not received any. And I would certainly hope that people continue to care enough about democracy in our community and in America to respect this process. I think they will. The environment in which we're operating is obviously a dangerous one for our democracy itself, and much ink has been spilled on that topic. But I think, as Julie said, democratic institutions, democratic processes are particularly strong here in King County in Washington State, and we want to continue to reinforce that ethos. We want to reinforce that regardless of your perspective, your voice is equal and your vote will be respected.
So we've been using Ballot Tracker for a number of years that allow voters the opportunity to go onto our website, put in their name and date of birth, and see where the ballot is. This new sort of part that we're adding here is that text and email notification. Frankly, we've been wanting to do it for years, well before 2020. Just needed to make sure that we were able to move forward doing so successfully with the technology and making sure that we have the appropriate funding to be able to do so. So this is a new initiative here for King County elections. This is another opportunity for voters to be engaged and reminded that there's an election. I also believe that there's a strong security element to that, right? So you get an email that says that your ballot is in your mailbox. You know that you should go get your ballot. Also, that if a ballot's been returned and you didn't do it, that's another reason to call our office too as well. So I think that there's security and accessibility that this new program provides for our voters. So we're projecting a 72% turnout averaging, right, across King County, because as we know, the percentage of turnout varies quite differently across our region. Our last even year, 2018 comparable election was about a 75% turnout in King County. The reason why we're projecting a little slightly lower than that is because we saw pretty low returns in our primary. And so looking at the primary of 2018 and making some adjustments, that's why we're thinking it's going to be a few percentage points lower. Again, that will vary widely from Seattle to Algona as far as what turnout looks like. But honestly, my hope is 80%. I really want to see us hit 80% here in King County. I believe we can do it. We had an 87% turnout in our presidential election, which is some of the highest in the entire country. So King County voters show up, and they always show up and impress me. So we'll say 72 based off what the data shows us, but I know King County voters, and they're going to show up at 80%. I'm going to put it out there. We do have a population here in King County that moves a lot, those 1.4 million voters. So every single moment, every single day, we are processing change of addresses. I think a couple of things that are important to note is that before we mail out ballots in a primary and general election, we're running our data against the United States Postal Service. So if a change of address has been put in with the United States Postal Service, we're going to update those records. Another important piece is that ballots are forwardable, meaning that if they go to an address where the USPS has been notified of a new address, it's going to be forwarded to that new address as well. We're, of course, also getting information from the Department of Licensing regularly, daily, about any change or updates to addresses. Some of the work that we're doing as far as getting education out there, specifically in Spanish, is through our voters pamphlet, and we have a robust program that I'm really proud of called the Voter Education Fund, and it's because of Executive Constantine that we've been able to put matched dollars. So the Voter Education Fund is the first in its kind in the nation, government philanthropic partnership where we put $1 million back to nonprofit organizations that are reaching out to our most marginalized and underserved communities, because we know we need to do a tailored approach to each community to be able to get people not only registered to vote, voting, and also running for office. And if you do not get your ballot, Executive Constantine, I'm sure maybe he's used this before, but it was reminding me that if you don't have your ballot in hand, you can always call us and we can remail a ballot to a voter at any address. Also, you can go online and print a PDF of your ballot out right from our website in case you get close. We will also have vote centers across the region because we have election all the way up to same day. So all the way up to Election Day, you can get registered to vote and get your ballot and vote. So we have vote centers from Federal Way and Kent all the way up to Kenmore, Bellevue, and in between for voters to be able to do that. We provide in language, we do social media, so we do targeted social media. We also do media through radio and through other networks in all of the languages that we provide our election materials in. And again, we'll have voter pamphlets go out as well that will have some of that information. I think what's really important, though, is that it's not very often that the voter necessarily has to initiate a change of address, right? Because if they're informing the United States Postal Service or Department of Licensing, our ballots are going to follow them. And we'll also be able to update their information that way. But I respect and hear your question and concern, and how about we partner up and talk about better ways in which we can get the word and the message out in the community.